Hello and welcome to Bookish Brits. I'm Rex, and this month I'm going to be talking about the Chaos Walking Trilogy by Patrick Ness. Lots of people have recommended this series to me, and it's quite well regarded, but unfortunately I'm going to be very controversial because I can't see why. That's a bold statement, I know, to start off a review with, but and it has been out for a long time, so I'm very late to this party. So I'm very sorry if you love these series, and I'm sure you've got your reasons, but for me personally, it just didn't do the trick. And I love sci-fi, and I love YA, and no. So the plot, for those of you who haven't read it, there will be spoilers in this video, is it's set on a world that has been colonized by humans. And when they arrived on this world, there was a native species who they end up having a war with. And that's the background to this series. The other thing about the world that you need to know is that you can hear men's thoughts. You can't hear women's thoughts, and this causes a lot of problems. So that's sort of the background of what's happening. Now, the first book follows a character called Todd, and he is living in a town where all the women have been killed or have killed themselves. There are some questions around, whose side of the story is true, and we get lots of perspectives on that throughout the series, but we never really know what happened. And that drives Todd, in one of many reasons, to leave the town, and he is pursued by the mayor, who is some sort of evil dictator. And that first book has a lot of pace. He meets a colonist who is coming from a colony ship that's on its way, and she's like a scout and crash landed there, and they then end up running away from this town and this dictator, and it perpetuates a civil war between the humans who are living on this world. And it captures you, and the pace is really great, and you get through it, and you get through book one, and you hit book two, and you're with it, and you're going with it. But then it really falls down in book two because the world building just isn't there. I didn't really feel like I knew much about this world, or like I know it's got some creatures, and at some point someone mentions that it's got like giant sea monsters, but apart from that, I just didn't feel like the world building was really there. There was just weren't feeling it, like you do in other books, like in Dune or in Remnant Moon, where you really feel the world building going on around you, and in so many other sci-fi books. So I kind of felt, and you notice that lack as the series goes on. And also, I don't feel like the main characters, Viola and Todd, really gain any depth or layers beyond what they have in the first book, and that's fine. But I don't buy their relationship either. And then it kind of goes into this sort of civil war, and the nature of resistance and guerrilla warfare and terrorists. And I think it's meant to be more interesting, but it just never is. I kind of feel like they did that better in Battlestar Galactica when they're on New Caprica. That was way more interesting. And I don't feel like they capture the emotional depth that you need to really make those subjects work. The antagonists are great. I think if we'd spent the book looking at them, and there were more time allotted to why they are the way they are, that would have been really interesting. And you kind of get glimpses at it through the main characters, but it just never goes far enough. And maybe that's my problem with this. I just feel like it had loads of potential, but it never goes far enough to really make me pay attention. And halfway through book two, I stopped reading. I got so bored, I stopped. And it took me months to come back and go, no, I'm going to finish it because I want to finish it. And I want to see if it does develop. And it really doesn't. I don't feel like it does. I feel like it was a really good starting point, but it never really blooms into something great. Maybe it's been watered down on purpose. Maybe this is just to get people thinking about those ideas of the nature of humanity and the nature of right and wrong and the nature of war. Maybe that's what it was supposed to do. And that's fine. And it does do those things. But I didn't love it. I wouldn't go back to it. There is a nice thing when you're reading from different characters' perspectives that the font changes so you know which character you're reading from, and it gives them a little bit more of an insight maybe to their personality. So that's a cute little thing that's in there. But overall, I feel like a lot of the side characters are merely there as plot devices rather than adding anything beyond their one purpose. And it just didn't have the emotional or sort of wider world building layers that I would like in this type of book. So I can't say I recommend it. If you do read it, maybe just ignore the hype and read it for what it is and see what you think. But I hope that I'll be back with something a bit more fun next month. Take care.